Hi. Hello. Happy dear.
Hello.
Hello, Lisa. How are you, dear?
Good. How are you?
Very well.
I drank water this morning. Hot water. A lot of it.
Good, good, good. I'm gonna share the picture in the evening time. You can see which position you have to drink the water.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are you in the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. So there is Alina. Hi, Alina. Welcome to the
Hi.
pranayam class. Hi, dear.
Thank you.
Hi, Lena.
Hi, how are you?
Laurence.
Hi, this is Laurence.
Hi,
Hello.
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 So, hello, dear. Welcome to the pranayam class.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Today's your first.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's my
today's
new.
your
It's
first
my
class.
first class. Yes.
Okay, okay. So, first class we discuss about lots of things. You can go to the pre-recorded version of this Zoom classes,
All right.
and you can go through the video. It's available on the YouTube Himalayan Yoga Association
Mm-hmm.
website, YouTube site. Okay.
Okay.
I okay. I think they uploaded my video. I hope pranayam video. Therapy videos are keep going on, but maybe pranayam video they uploaded or not. But just go and check it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start our class. Before going to start our session, we start with a little prayer. So all of you get into the comfortable seat, sitting position. Keep your back, neck straight. Be comfortable. Keep your back, neck aligned with your spine. Now gently close your eyes. Observe how you are sitting. Be in the pose. Now bring your awareness towards your inhalation and exhalation. Observe how you are inhaling and how you are exhaling. Deep, prolonged, slow inhalation. Deep, prolonged, slow exhalation. Allow yourself to connect your body with the mind with the each breath. Now prepare yourself for the 3-time chanting along with Shanti. Now inhale for the Om.
Tani? Yeah, hi, hello, ma'am.
Hi, dear. Hello?
How are you? Hello?
I'm
Can't
very
you hear,
fine.
ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. I'm very fine. Very fine. So, so today you attend the first class, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we are discussing about the pranayam.
Okay.
So, okay, so pranayam, this is the second class of the pranayam. I'm talking about in the previous session what we discussed about briefly. So I'll talk to you later on end of the class, okay? So if you to get along with it, right?
Yes.
For personal
Yes.
doc. Okay, Tani? Okay. So basically the pranayam Purak Kumbhak Rechak. Purak is deep prolonged inhalation, then Kumbhak retention, then Rechak exhalation. Okay. Exhalation, how you gonna do? Deep prolonged slow exhalation. That is a Rechak. Rechak, you can write it down Rechaka. Rechak means exhalation, deep, slow, prolonged exhalation. And then we have Kumbhak, Purak Kumbhak Rechak, Kumbhak retention of your breath. We discussed in this previous class. There's other things also we discussed about it. Now, and even we did the little bit practice, like how Purak is important, how the Rechak is important. But now come to the Kumbha. So Kumbhak, you can write it down K U Kum KUMBHAKA Kumbhaka, somewhere it's the pronunciation, somewhere it's called Kumbhaka or Kumbhak. There's a two types of the Kumbhak. First write it down, then I'll explain. Kumbhak, the topic you can write it down Kumbhak and then divide into the two category. That is a Sahit Kumbhak and Keval Kumbhak. Sahit S, you can write the Kumbhak and then divide into the two types of the two categories of the Kumbhak. Sahit Kumbhak and Keval Kumbhak. Sahit 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 Kumbhaka. Then Keval Kumbhak Kevala Keval Kumbhak Kevala. Somewhere it's written Kevala. Keval. Keval Kumbhak. So first we explain Kumbhak means retention, right? Retaining what? Your breath. So how you gonna retain your breath is inhale and then hold your breath. That is a Kumbhak, right? Inhale and retain your breath. So Kumbhak, this is called Kumbhaka. We are practicing a Kumbhak. So in Sahita Kumbhak, you can write it down the two category. Sahita Kumbhak, again divide into the two category. Antara and Bahira Kumbhak. So write it down Sahita Kumbhak and then divide into the two category. Antara and Bahira Kumbhak. Antara, Antira. Antira. Antira Kumbhak. Kumbhak I already spelled. So same Kumbhak. Antara Kumbhak, then Bahira Kumbhak. B for Bombay. Bahira. Bahira Kumbhak. Antara and Bahira. So Sahit Kumbhak further divided into the two category, Antara and Bahira Kumbhak. I'll explain later on what is Antara and Bahira, and we're gonna practice also. So Purak, Rechak, and then Kumbhak. Many Hatha yogis, I keep telling you that Hatha yoga is a Asian yoga, 15,000 years old practice, more than 15,000 years old practice. And the reference, the definition of the pranayam we are taking through the Hatha yogic text. not Ashtanga, not according to the Ashtanga Yoga, not according to the 8 limbs, which we call Patanjal, not according to the Patanjal Yoga Sutra. Because Maharishi Patanjali doesn't talk about very much about the pranayam. I'll explain what is the difference types of the pranayam according to the Hatha Yogic text, and what Maharishi Patanjali is talking about. So this is the structure which you write it down. It's according to the Hatha Yogic text, ancient Hatha Yogic text. Many Hatha Yogis, they believe pranayam is nothing but kumbhak. You can even write it down. Pranayam, if you're looking for the synonym of the pranayam nothing but kumbhak. Not purak, not rechak, not inhalation, volunteer inhalation and exhalation, but it's retention. Retention itself is a pranayam, and it's very big thing. Because if you talked about it, okay, inhalation and exhalation, we do most of the time inhalation and exhalation, right? We don't come to the kumbha. But Hatha Yogis believe you are not practicing the pranayam until unless you're not including the kumbhak there. So retention is a pranayam. They talked about it. Only the kumbhak is a pranayam. Many Hatha Yogis believe. There's other Hatha Yogi text which said, okay, Purak, Kumbhak, Rechak also is the part of the pranayam. So Kumbhak is not just you're retaining the breath, but there's more than that. Remember, if you want me to explain about this thing, we talked about in my Ayurvedic classes, when Ayurvedic session when I'm giving, I explain it that the pranavayu, your lungs are functioning, and inhalation and exhalation, especially from the outside environment, you are taking oxygen and then releasing the carbon dioxide, right? We do this through with upper and lower respiratory system. So this thing is only working 1%. There's a 5% of the prana is working in your body, right? So total Vayu, you can write it on Vayu play only 6% role. So 1% you are dependent on the outside environment, like inhalation of the oxygen and releasing the carbon dioxide. Only 1% is going on. 5% your body having the prana vayu inside yourself, inside your body. So when you're retaining your breath, kumbhak, when you're applying the kumbhak, retention of the breath when you're doing it, that time you are working on your 5% of your pranavayu. The major part, 5%. Many people, even right now, you can hold when you need to apply the kumbhak, only 1% people can hold for, I think, 30 minutes. I think there's a one guy, the hydro guy, who dance under the water, and he hold his breath 30 minutes. 30 minutes he can hold his breath and he do the dancing in the modern era. But ancient time, many yogis, they practice the kumbhak under the water. They go under the water and they remain into the sadhana. They do their practice of meditation under the water. They are not inhaling and exhaling. That is a kumbhak they are doing it. So without putting any effort, initial level you put the effort, but without putting any effort, you reach to the Keval Kumbhak. So when you putting the effort, that is a part of the Sahit Kumbhak. So Sahit Kumbhak is what? Sahit Kumbhak, when you are doing the Kumbhak, which you're practicing through the inhalation and exhalation, which you're practicing through the Purak and Rechak, right? Inhaling, voluntary, and exhaling, voluntary. Then you are applying the Kumbhak. Which Kumbhak? Antara or Bahira? Antara means Inhale and then retain. Hold your breath. That called in Antara Kumbhak, means internal retention. Inhale and retain. So you hold your breath after inhalation. You can write it down. Antara Kumbhak means inhale, you applying the Antara Kumbhak, inhalation and then retention. After inhalation, you are retaining your breath. That is a Antara Kumbhak. Bahira Kumbhak, inhale, exhale, and then you're retaining your breath. You're holding your breath. I mean, you're not inhaling quickly. You hold there. That is a Bahira Kumbhak, external retention. So this Kumbhak happened after exhalation, then retention. After exhalation, then retention. That is a Bahira Kumbha. So Antara and Bahira Kumbha practice along with the Purak and Kumbha. Purak and Rechak, sorry. Antara and Bahira Kumbhak, these both Kumbhak, types of Kumbhak, practice with along Purak and Rechak. Purak is inhalation, Rechak is exhalation. Now come to the Keval Kumbha. What we mean by the Keval? Keval means only. 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 Single. Keval. Akela. Lonely. So here Keval means not including Purak and Recha. Just Kumbha. There should be a just Kumbha. And this is a very highest stage of the yogi. It's not come like, okay, today we learn it and you get the kumbhak. No, not at all. It required many years of the practice, or maybe many life, depend person to person. This keval kumbhak, if only kumbhak, you are not doing purak, you are not doing rechak, you're not inhaling and exhaling. They just a kumbhak. And that is a higher practice in the Hatha Yoga. When people keep practicing the Sahitya Kumbhak, Antara and Bahira, they get the mastery over these things. Then there is a time without any putting effort. In Sahitya Kumbhak, you put the effort. You voluntary putting, okay, I have to inhale and hold. You're telling your brain that I have to hold, right? You are telling yourself, oh, I have to retain my breath. So that is what? Kumbhak. You are practicing voluntary kumbhak. Antara and Bahira, you have to tell yourself, you're putting the effort, you're telling your brain, telling yourself, I have to apply the kumbhak. But in Keval Kumbhak, you are not doing anything. It just automatically happened to you. Effortlessly is another level. This is another level. When you are not inhaling and exhaling, not even telling yourself that I have to retain my breath. It's come to you automatically, naturally to you. But right now it's look miraculous. But there's a many yogi, they go for the I think in Indian continent, still there is a people who practice the Hatha Yoga and they get the mastery over the pranayam. They do the meditation under the water. What they do? They apply the Keval Kumbha effortlessly. They're not holding their breath. Effortlessly, they are just not dependent on the inhalation and exhalation. And that time, 5% their pranavayu is working. How they are alive? You say they are not inhaling and exhaling. How they are alive? Because 5% prana is inside their body, and that time they activate that pranic energy on the higher level, and that pranic energy keep them alive even under the water. They are not dependent even the basic necessity is a most crucial need of the human being, that is the inhalation and exhalation of the oxygen and releasing the carbon dioxide. They they achieve that highest stage. Keval Kumbhak, that is only Kumbhak, nothing else, just a Keval Kumbhak. But this stage come the people who are great yogis, who are great meditator, and those who are practicing many years, maybe in their past life they are practicing, and then they get the mastery over this Keval Kumbhak. So Sahit Kumbhak and Keval Kumbhak, the Kumbhak which divided into the two parts, and then Sahit further divided into the Antara and Bahira Kumbhak. Antara, internal retention, and Bahira, external retention. So Keval Kumbhak only great yogis can practice, and Kumbhak, there's a major precaution come with the Kumbhak. You cannot apply the Kumbhak because it's dangerous practice. Even the Sahita Kumbhak, Antara and Bahira Kumbhak should be practiced with lots of precaution and under the guidance of the Guru or uh, the master, the yoga, the pranayam master, not even the what we call yoga instructor, especially those who are asana practitioner. They don't know much about the pranayam. So especially the yoga teacher who are in this pranayam practice, not by the yoga instructor. Right now they are bringing so many things. They are very becoming creative with the pranayam. With the breathing, that's okay, but with the pranayam you cannot play so many things around with the pranayam. You shouldn't be very much creative about the pranayam because it can be a dangerous practice if you don't know the deeper understanding, if you don't know if you don't have the deeper understanding of the pranayam. So pranayam give you those things whatever you want. Even in previous lecture I discussed about it. The benefit of the pranayam is tremendous. It can delay your old age. It can give you the new life. You can increase your lifespan. You can change the degeneration of the cycle into the regeneration of yourself, self body. So, but, but again, I'm telling you, pranayam should be practiced under the guidance of the great yoga teacher, not by the yoga instructor. Okay, not yoga instructor, yoga teacher, those who covered everything, those who have the deeper knowledge of the pranayam. Because pranayam always come with the kumbhak, and there is a procedure to go into the kumbhak practice also. It's require many time, depend person to person. So till now I'm clear. Any doubt till here? Any difficulty? Any question?
All clear?
Okay, good. Very well.
Okay.
So we're gonna move further. So Antara and Bahira Kumbhak, we talked about it. Yeah. Yes, Lawrence.
No, it's fine. Thank you. Keep going. Fine with me.
Oh, okay. So even somebody get any question related to the previous session, they can ask me during the class. Okay, you can ask me, but go through first the session, the video, and then ask. Next, further we discuss about it. The Sahitya Kumbhak further divided into the 8 types of the pranayam. So there is in Hatha Yoga they mention about it. There is 8 categories of the pranayam. So we have the Nadi Shodhan. There's a name, you can even Google it. I'll share you the names also. Do not write it down right now. I'll share you on the WhatsApp the name of the 8 types of the pranayam. Okay, don't worry about it. So there is a in Hatha Yoga, according to Hatha Yogic text, there is a major 8 types of the pranayam. The name, there's a many types of the pranayam like Suryabhedi, Chandrabhedi, then Bhasrika, then we have Ujjayi, Shitli, Shitkari, then Murcha, Plavani. These are the 8 types of the pranayam, right? Ujjayi. But to go towards this practice, okay, we cannot jump directly into the practice of the pranayam. There is a pre-practice also. Before introducing, even I think all of you would be the yoga teacher after getting the certification. You cannot directly introduce to your student the pranayam, the names which I discussed, just I told you. There's a major precaution come along with the pranayam. Before that, you have to correct their breathing. You have to basically bring the change into the environment, right? So there is a precaution, first very much precaution. Even Hatha Yogi text talked about it. Environment, suitable environment of the pranayam. You have to create. Okay. So you can write it down, the suitable environment for the pranayam. What are the suitable environment for the pranayam? Where one person has to practice the pranayam is play very important role. And again, I'm not talking about the gym classes. I'm not talking about the Zumba, or along with the Zumba, many people, they mix the yoga practice of the pranayam. I don't know why they are doing it, just to create some, make the trend, or it's become the fashion. But it's again, I'm telling you, it's okay. You bring right new things. You always come up with the innovative things. But again, think about their consequences also, because without knowledge, if you're mixing anything together, there is a there is a bad result also can come along with it. So you cannot play with the people life. Okay, so again, I'm putting into the question mark. Before introducing, you have to create the environment for the pranayam. And many people, they ignore it. They just introduce the pranayam directly to the students. Wrong. Being a yoga teacher, being a yoga practitioner, you have to create the environment. What are the environment? First, the place where you're practicing the pranayam, it should be open. Like, it's not should be closed. There should be air. But especially the people who are in living in the cold weather, in that time they can close their window, they can close their doors, right? In that time they can plant the trees, the indoor, they can do the indoor plantation, right? Indoor plantation like aloe vera, they can plant snake and song of the India. These are the plants, indoor plants I'm talking about, which create the oxygen level which make the oxygen level higher level. It's take the oxygen level on the higher level of the environment. If you plant these plant around you, okay, is very much important. If you're living in the city, if you're living in those area where there is a deserted island, or there is not much tree plantation around you, so you have to create those area. Okay, open area is very best, but again, see the environment. If cold outside, so you have to do indoor. If there's a little bit warm, so you can do outside area also, on your terrace also. But you should be doing around the plants. Okay, there should be the plants which give you the more oxygen. When you give the more oxygen during the when you during the practice of the pranayam give you more benefit. Okay, the environment is best. This environment is best, not closed, especially the gym area, and many people are sitting and they are doing all together the breathing practice. That is not the good idea about it. If there is a closed area, it should be open. Should be good ventilation. Okay, because right now many people they go to the studios and many places and they sit all together. 50 to 60 people are sitting into the one room and they practicing the pranayama. So you can imagine, you can just inhaling the carbon dioxide of the other person, right? And so it's very much important that there should be a much ventilation and there should be a plenty of the indoor plants so you can maintain the level. Okay, so you can even do like 1% to 1 plant. If there's a 50 people, so 50 plants should be around you. You can do the math like that. This is the first thing. Second thing, the mat. Which mat you are using it. Make sure your mat, the place should be clean and open and vibrant. And the mat, whatever mat you are using, your mat should be clean and only used by you. You cannot share your mat. Okay, that is the next precaution one should take. You are not allowed to share your mats. You always do your practice of the pranayam with your personal mats. So why? I think very much answer like you're not sharing much bacteria also. But again, you create certain energy when you're practicing the pranayam. The energy gonna disturb if that mat gonna use by the someone other person. And then you lose the concentration while practicing. Next time if you're practicing the pranayam, you're going to lose the concentration. So this is the second most important thing. Always, these are the personal things. Don't share your mats with anybody. At least keep your, it's required lots of hygiene also, and keep your mats with you. Whenever you do practice, use it. Even during the asana, you should use only your mats. Then cleanness should be maintained because you cannot do the pranayam practice where there is a dust. Because when you're inhaling, maybe dust particles go inside your body. So it should be like, should be clean area. Because in during the initial level, when you're practicing the pranayam, you're doing deep level, deep inhalation and very deep and slow, prolonged exhalation. In that time, there is high chance, and there's a two types of pranayam which you do with the practice of the through your mouth. You inhale through your mouth. So there is high chance when you're practicing, you get the dust particles or another bacteria. So it's very much important that you should clean your area daily, and especially that area where you practice the yoga, where you practice the pranayam. Cleanness is very much important. People ignore this thing, and later on many people, those who have sinus problem, allergic issue, when they start practicing the pranayam, their problem is aggravate, and they don't know why it's happening to them because of this, because they are not maintaining the hygiene, they are not cleaning the environment, they are not practicing the precaution. So you have to do the precaution, you have to take the precaution also, and create the environment, perfect environment for the pranayam. So you won't get the side effect of the pranayam, but all the benefit, tremendous benefit, tremendous. I cannot even go through, like it's that much benefit you will get. So suitable environment once created, then we start with the simple breathing. You have to correct their breathing. Okay, so from here, so tomorrow we're gonna start with the practice of the pranayam. The simple breathing. First, I'm gonna introduce the normal breathing. Why it's very much important we start with the breathing practice, because you cannot jump directly to the pranayama because you don't know how to breathe right now. Maybe your student doesn't know about it. So before jumping on the practice of the pranayama, there is a many pre-practice you have to do. So your lungs would be capable, your diaphragmic movement should be correct, your stomach, your belly movement should be correct. When especially your whole body should be correct before starting the practicing the pranayama. And even Maharishi Patanjali said pranayama is not for the sick people, but now we started using in the doing the using the pranayama as a tool for therapy. But he mentioned in according to the Asian yogic text, it's not fit for the sick people, and we all are sick. Believe me, we all are sick. We are miserable. We are not mentally stable. We are not physically stable. So we all are sick. So practicing the pranayama, we require at least stability in our health. Then pranayama gonna take you on the next level. It's gonna transform your body energy. That's the effect of the pranayama. It's not just give you the physical health. It's not only take your physical health on the next level, but take your whole mind on the next level. So that's why we're gonna do the many pre-practice before practicing the pranayama, and that session starts from tomorrow. So meanwhile, anybody have any question related to the understanding of the Purak, Kumbhak, Rechak, and the types of the pranayam which we talked about it, that come into the category of the Sahitya Kumbhak. Keval Kumbhak is Keval Kumbhak, and then the environment should be created for the pranayam. Any doubt till here? Precaution, we discuss about it. Any difficulty till now?
No, it's clear.
Okay, Lisa. Okay, Tani, Lawrence, Elena, Asmita, Jane. Any doubt, dear? I think all of you understand.
Now all clear. And actually, it was an interesting reflection that we are all sick. That was an interesting reflection.
Yeah, but we have to accept it. We shouldn't be
Yeah.
crying upon it that we are sick, but we have to
Mm-mm.
just accept it and then start working on. But first, we have to
Sure.
accept that something is wrong with us, and then we looking for the solution. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Smita, any doubt, dear? Thank you, Elena.
No, it was very clear, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Okay, ma'am, I have a question.
Mhm.
What is the right time of doing pranayam? Before food, after food? Can it be done? Because since you're saying that from tomorrow we'll be having the practical classes for pranayam, and the time zone is different.
Okay, good question, dear. It said that the ideal time of practicing the pranayam is basically the after Shat Karma and after your asana practice, one should practice the pranayam. Okay, according to the yogic text. So, for example, if you're practicing the Shat Karma is a cleansing practice, right? All of you, I think, might heard this word. Cleansing, like removing the toxin from the body through doing certain things. Um, So if you practice asana, then you have to practice the pranayam. Early in the morning is the best time of the practicing the pranayam, but evening time you can also practice the pranayam. But your stomach should be empty. When you practicing the pranayam, your stomach should be empty. So at least 4 to 5 hours. The food, whatever you eat, it's remain in your body for longer period of time. So that's why yogi, when somebody decided to started practicing the yoga, they decided to control, they follow the moderate diet, they start taking the diet which suitable for the practicing their yoga and practicing their pranayama. So they eat easy digestible food, right? In order to, so their belly is quickly digested and they can ready for the next session. They can go in the evening session also. They can practice evening time also. But make sure whenever you're practicing the pranayama, especially I'm talking about the pranayama, it's required that your stomach should be completely empty. So 4 to 5 hours you shouldn't be having. Water you can have it, but water if you had it, so again 1 hour of like 1 or 1.5 hours, you can do the practice of the pranayama. Okay, but if you're having the tea, ginger, something, so give the time of the again 2 hours. So you go through the pee and then you are ready for the pranayama. Morning and evening time, both time you can do. Only one rule, the ideal time is morning time. The one rule is your stomach should be empty. So when you do the fasting, that is the best time of practicing the pranayama. Uh, Especially most of the people when they fasting, they do the meditation and they do the practice of the pranayama. Because that time the body is releasing the toxin and prana vayu is increased. If you have the food, so energy would be digesting the food. You cannot increase your energy. You cannot increase your prana vayu because energy is busy to digesting your food. So that's why it's a strict rule that your stomach should be empty when you're practicing the pranayama. Pretty much clear, Asmita?
Yeah, but in order to yeah, attend the class, and suppose the stomach is not, I mean, we have eaten, but maybe 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago. So, what could be the negative effects in case if you still practice pranayama?
The negative effect is I cannot just tell you that it's a negative effect. These are the negative effect, or these are not the negative effect. Depend person to person, what kind of dosha they are having it, what kind of personality they are having it. Accordingly, they are getting it. Their mind. I'm talking about just focus on one thing. Why we need to practice the pranayama? Why? The importance that so our health would be, we become more healthier, we go into the next level, we can go into the samadhi. That's why we're practicing the pranayama. We can increase our lifespan. So people who are practicing the pranayama, they are very much clear about it, that these are the rules which is important for us. Negative effect depend person to person. Maybe vata people have the another kind of negative effect. Pitta people maybe they develop the hyperacidity because they already have the pit and they are practicing the those pranayam which increase the heat, and with the again they are breaking the rules, certain rules, so they get the another side effect of it. Depend person to person, but understand those whoever started practicing the pranayam, it should be very much clear in their mind that they want to be healthy person, right? They are not, because in the pranayam you cannot show off. It's not just like today yoga is becoming the fashion right now, but in pranayam what you gonna show? You cannot show anything. You are inhaling, you are retaining, you can hold for longer time, but whom you gonna show? It's up to you. You know this thing. This is a very personal practice. You cannot show off. It's very boring practice again. You have to control your mind. You have to sit into the one position. So it's all about you. So it's related to you. This is your personal achievement, which you are working on, which you cannot show. Oh, I am very good. I can hold it. You cannot show to the people. And they didn't come with wow effect also. oh, what you are doing practice of pranayama. But if you show off the asana, people might be amazed. So it is in their mind. Not many people are practicing the pranayama. Not much, especially the traditional one. They are not practicing. New version of the pranayama along with the asanas, and while moving the practice, they do the 5 minute, okay, 10 minutes. Like in Ashtanga, you do the Ujjayi. In Ashtanga practice, you do the Ujjayi, right? In downward dog. How long? 5 seconds. Only 5 seconds or 10 seconds you are doing the Ujjayi breath. That's it. Or not even the sitting position. You are doing in the downward dog position. So it's for what? It's just for the little bit, okay, I'm feeling, get the more energy. That's it. Simple. But I'm talking about not negative and positive effect. I'm talking about the pranayama is especially for those people who are looking for the yoga, who really want to practice the yoga, traditional yoga. It's not for the fashion, it's not for the fun. There is no fun at all practicing the pranayama, not at all. You cannot make it interesting. It's really boring. But the people who really want to practice the yoga, they gonna practice the pranayama. Or it's not negative and positive. If you do correctly, you get all the tremendous benefit. And it's like you maybe you can just live whenever you want to. In previous session, I talked about it. You can choose when you're gonna die. It is in your hand. You can young forever. It is in your hand. So what you all other things you want? Nothing. I cannot tell by practicing the pranayam you might become rich or something else. That's not come, but yes, that's guarantee you can control very first. I'm again regeneration cells started going on. You reverse the cycle of degeneration of the cell into the regeneration of the cell. You can delay your old age. You can live forever if you want. It's up to you. There's so many things you can do about it. You can go into the moksha, more closer to the moksha. You can enter into the samadhi. So not negative, positive effect is only depend person to person. Okay, clear, Aspita?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, so any other question, any other queries here? So we're gonna end our session. Om Shanti, Mangal Ho, bless you guys. And
Om Shanti.
I think 5 to 6, I have meditation class. Those who are ever want to join, they can join the meditation class. Bye bye. Take care. Mangal Ho.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.